Good evening or good afternoon, and I really am very excited about today's show. And first, I want to thank Hot Sauce Entertainment for allowing us, Creative Spirits of the state of New Jersey, to present this show this evening. And I want to thank our very, very special guest, Councilwoman Mildred Crump, which she is very concerned about the growth and development of our young people in the community, and she's here to help make this possible with our guest hostess, Mrs. Abdullah, Najla Abdullah. Najla is a student at Irvington High School. She's been living in Irvington for about 10 years, and she's preparing to graduate from Irvington High School, is it?
Yes.
And she's going to be the class of 2011, and she's planning on attending Rutgers, Newark, and she's going to major in journalism and media studies.
Yes.
Najla is interested in journalism, and she's going to get a good start at it today by practicing. Yeah, I guess you call it practicing. And she's going to interview Mrs. Crump. So I'm going to just turn this whole program over to Najla and Mrs. Crump.
Thank you, Jahada. First, I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to interview you and taking the time out of your very busy schedule.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure and an honor. I'm looking forward to this practice session. I can use it, every now and then. I want to thank Jahada, my friend of at least, 35, if not 40 years. And she has kept up her pace and remained faithful to her mission as well. So, hey, girlfriend.
Okay, Councilwoman, for my first question for you is, with all of your achievements under your belt, I can tell that you are very persevering. What motivates you?
Probably the need to give back. It has been said by someone greater than you or I, to whom much is given, much is required. And I have been blessed all of my life. I can honestly say there have been, dark moments, but for the most part, I have been blessed to have people step into my life, give me direction, give me support, give me encouragement. And so I'd like to think that I do what I do. I can't pay them back, but I can certainly perpetuate their legacy through what I do.
My second question is, becoming Newark's first African American councilwoman, what perspective have you given to the governing body?
Well, now that is one of those questions. Should we tell them what we said off camera? They warned me to be ready, you all, that this young lady was going to have questions that I was going to have to dig deep into my soul, and this is one. The perspective is that for so long we had what I will call taxation without representation. In other words, women who make up right now more than 50% of the population, we had no representation. So in 1978, a friend of mine by the name of Juliet Grant, remember those days?
Yes.
Juliet Grant, a number of us got together and we got behind her and said, it's time. Unfortunately, we did not win in 1978, so we came back in 1982 and tried it again. Unfortunately, we did not win in 82, did not lose, because the concept of women having the ability to govern was gaining momentum. And so in 1986, with the advice and guidance of my husband, I decided to run. And so women always, and this is something, I'm not trying to be offensive, I love men, it's not male bashing 101, but women always, I do believe, have the capacity to see the bigger picture because we're born nurturers.
Yes.
And so that I think makes a big difference in governing.
Okay. So, where do you see Newark in the next 10 years?
Oh, I see us in a very positive place. I do think that struggles are always inherent into what is good for the community. And for the last few years, we've been able to get people involved in the decision-making process. And so as a result of the community's involvement, and I know Jahada will share this, that the community involvement has got to be a part of the equation. And that's what's going to, when you change the attitude and heart and mind of the community, you have no place to go but up.
Definitely.
I agree. What improvements do you believe should be made in Newark?
Oh dear, now this is the question. Let's see, where shall I start if I were to give this question some priority? Probably the educational system. I'm a former teacher, I don't know if you know that. And I retired in 2003 after 42 years as a teacher of children with special needs. My specialty was teaching the blind and visually impaired. I had the opportunity to go from instruction to administration. And so when I had the Newark Public School District to monitor for programs for children with special needs, I had an upfront and close bird's eye view of what was happening. State takeover did not improve the conditions of the system. It is, in my opinion, that it detracted from the ability for those of us who live here to have a say-so and to work towards improvement. So the last 15 years, unfortunately, we have been on a slippery slope. And so I'm sure you're well aware of all of the conversation and buzz in the air about what's going on, but that would be my number one priority, because if you have a good education, you can get a good job.
Yes.
If you have a good education, you will have a salary that will allow you to purchase, to be a consumer. If you have a good education, your children will more than likely emulate you. They'll see you as a role model. And so education is I do believe, the hub, and the other spokes, generate from that.
Out of all your accomplishments, what would be one of your proudest moments?
Probably, that really is a tough question. There are a couple. But probably being named New Jersey Woman of the Year in 2007. Who would have thought this little black girl, who given super opportunities, would be Woman of the Year for New Jersey, for a state? I'm still amazed when I hear it and I hear people say it, and I think, oh my goodness. Garden State Magazine actually promoted me, I have to say that. And I thank Judy Chapman and Myra Terry and Deborah Hurley and all of my friends who encouraged Garden State Magazine to select me for this honor. And again, I was the first African-American woman to receive this honor, and I don't think they've had one since, come to think of it.
How do you feel about that?
Not having another one?
Yes.
I'm for so long I've been in the position of being the one, the only, and I'm always looking for ways to promote the sisterhood.
Yes.
I have to be honest, to promote the sisterhood. While I created the history, I have to bring somebody along behind me. So hopefully soon we'll have another one who can take my place.
I believe you will.
Am I looking at her?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Wait a minute, am I looking at her?
What steps should the young people take to be positively active in our communities?
Number one, listen. And that's a very difficult thing for young people to do. Believe it or not, I was your age once upon a time. And it was very difficult for me to listen because I thought I knew it all. And I remember the day that I woke up and I said, gee, I don't know anything. That's maturity. And so young people need to listen before they speak. First of all, it gives them a perspective from which to speak. That's number one. And divergent opinions obviously are what this world is made of. It doesn't mean you have to adhere to what you've heard, but at least it gives you an opportunity to know what other people are thinking. So the first thing that young people need to do, and my mother used to say, if you just know how to listen. I have a very cute story. My daughter is a graduate of Spelman College in Atlanta, and Oprah Winfrey was her graduation speaker. I don't know if I ever told you this. And I never will forget some words that she said. She said, "Ladies, if you would just listen to me, I could save you some time." And then she said one of the most prophetic things. She said, "But I know some of you won't listen." And that's that's a monumental statement. I could save you some time if you just listen, but I know that some of you won't. And so that's why I say to listen. Of course, then once you listen, position yourself so that people around you in your atmosphere will recognize you, just as Jahada has selected you to do this. She recognizes something in you and says, okay, she's listened, now it's time, to present her. And so that's what you position yourself to be ready for the next step. And unfortunately, sometimes young people don't do that because they haven't listened first.
Do you believe there are good role models in our communities?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking at one. I'm looking at another one. That's your mother out there. I'm looking at over here, There are tons of role models, positive role models out there. I suggest to the young ladies with whom I work on a regular basis, pick one, pick two.
3 or 4 of us.
Yeah, that's true. 3 or 4. And say, okay, let me see how I can duplicate. What is it? What was that expression? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So if I can imitate some of the things that this person does that I see, I'll be good.
Being an empowered woman, what would you tell a young female who is struggling to discover who she really is and finding herself in this world?
I went through that discovery process, and I would say, and so does every person, not just by gender, but every person. And I would say to you, give yourself some time.